Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah, all praises be to Allah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Peace and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad, his family and his companions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you all. Thank you so much for coming today and watching my episode. This would be my last episode on how to protect our children, the second generation, from atheism or from leaving Islam. We have talked last time about all the problems and all the issues that we see in our children. Those what I call are the symptoms. We have talked about the core problem and why are they leaving Islam. I also have offered some advices on how to protect our children since they are born until they grow and they become decision makers. Each child, when they become in their teenage time, they start thinking about their religion. They start asking themselves, who am I? Why I am here? Why do I have to follow Islam? Why do I have to follow my parents' religion? What is the difference between Islam and other religions? Many of them, they don't see a lot of differences because the way they were raised to see that Islam is just a ritualistic religion with a bunch of morals that they have to follow, and that's it. So today, we are going to continue to talk about more tips and solutions on how to combat atheism and how to protect our children. And the first thing we have to start with is al-aqidah, which means creed or doctrine, is to make the foundation very solid in their hearts, to learn the 6 articles of faith, and not just to learn them by words, saying that I have to believe in Allah and the angels and the books and the prophets and so on. No, what we have to do is we have to teach them the 6 articles of faith, the aspects of it, the benefits of them. Why do we have to believe in them? Why are they so important? Not just only logical, but also spiritual. And the most important thing is how to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second, we have to give them some immunizations from the misconceptions and from the attacks of Islam. We have many Islamophobes that they always produce a new misconception almost every day. Every day we hear about a new misconception. And so it's very important to teach our children how to navigate in the Islamic books and the spiritual books such as the Quran and the Sunnah to learn how to extract the right answer from using the correct proofs, not only just quoting from the Quran and the Hadith, because the Islamophobes, they do quote sometimes from the Hadith and the Quran, but they cut and paste and they pick and choose whatever they want. Sometimes they take the ayah and they misinterpret it and then they present it to us on a silver platter, but it tastes different and it looks different. So it's very important that we teach our children those tools, how to use them when they read the Quran and they read the Hadith and they know the true meaning of what Allah intended to say in these ayahs and how is the correct interpretation of these ayahs and the Hadith. The third thing is we have to change the mentality and the way our children think about Islam. Many of them, they are very pessimistic and very cynical in the way that they think about Islam. They see the Muslims are very weak, backward. They see as Islam is not compatible for the culture that they live in. So it's very important that we always have to not only use naql, that means to take the scriptures and the texts and the knowledge from the original books, which is very important, but to explain it to them in a way that it makes sense to them. It's very important to do that. So changing the perspective about the image of Islam. What is the role of the parents in raising the kids? First of all is preparing a library at home of books and resources that is against the destructive and the deviant pathways and ideologies that attack Islam. We have many of these ideologies and school of thoughts that could be naming themselves as Muslims, but they are way too far from Islam, such as the Quranists or the progressive Muslims or the Muslims who support LGBT or whatever, right? So we have to find some books that actually, teach them the correct Islam. We have to watch what our children are reading. It's okay to read other books other than the Islamic books, but you have to discuss that with their children. You have to be aware of what they are actually learning. Second, you have to watch what our kids are watching on TV, on media, what they're learning in school. Now, there are so many schools right now that we have our children in that they are pro-LGBT, that they are encouraging about sex education, about having boyfriend, girlfriend, about all the haram stuff, telling you that as long as it doesn't hurt any other people or it doesn't hurt other people, then it's okay to do it. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very firm with our children, not to be strict with them, to forbid them from everything. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about being firm also in our way of thinking and in the way that we are answering our children with giving them proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah, and be logical in the way that we are raising our children. Third is we have to teach our children the history and the culture of Islam. At least every night when you sit with your child before they sleep, tell them a story about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tell them a story about one of the Sahabis. Bring some books and read it with your child before they sleep. Tell them about at-tabi'een and atba' at-tabi'een, the followers of the companions and the followers of the followers of the companions. It's very important that you put that love, you plant that love inside their hearts. So when they grow up knowing who the Prophet is, and they can actually convey that message to other people. It's very important that these children, that they have the love of the Prophet ﷺ, so they would know and they would learn that following his steps is actually leading them to Jannah, inshallah. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us, protect our children, and to lead them to the Firdaus al-A'la, to the highest status of paradise. We have to plant in our children the love of conveying the message of Islam, being proud Muslim, by not only just doing what is good and showing the good treatment of Islam, by showing the personality and the characteristics of Islam, but also to talk about it in public and not to be shy about talking about the religion and about the rituals of the religion and about the prayers and all that. So it's very important that they learn that. The last thing is, it's very important that when we sit with our children, especially the teenagers, is to discuss with them certain topics that talks about the Islamic matters the stories of our civilization, about the stories of our scholars, our scholars, about whether the scientific scholars or the religious scholars. It's very important that we set a role model for them to follow, not only just knowing that, oh, we should follow the Prophet ﷺ, we should follow Allah's rules, but why? We have to show them examples, live examples, real examples from the ones that they lived before us, like the scholars, like the Sahabis, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, like the Tabi'een and Atba' Tabi'een. What if it's too late now? I have learned about all these advices. I wish I have raised my child, and now my child is a teenager. He's very rebellious. He's not following Islam. He's not praying. He's not doing this and that. What should I do? It's very important that, first of all, you have to try to isolate them from the bad environment that they are in, and try to make them stay with the Islamic environment and the Islamic community. Take them more to the masjid. The masjid is like their second home. Here in the West, we don't have any places to go to entertain ourselves other than the parks or visiting other friends and so on. Try to pick and choose your friends that they remind you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they keep you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and always make that bond between your children and between the masjid. It's very important that the friends that they have are that they mingle with in the masjid. The masjid is not just a place to pray, but it is also a social place where children can play with each other, that children can sit with a sheikh or with a teacher, and they can learn about one of the stories of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The masjid is actually a second home for them. So let them stay going to the masjid, learn the Quran, learn more about Islam, and one day they will become the leaders of that masjid. They will become one of the board of directors, for example, or the shura. You never know. But at least they are connected with the community, is to be connected with the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be connected spiritually with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah reward you. This is my last episode. My name is Ruba Qewar. If I say something right, then it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I say something wrong, then it is from myself and from my nafs. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you all.